China, sitting back, enjoying the paper discount, enjoying that gold window is still opened, and they're seeing this gold window, and they're taking physical, building massive reserves, while the fools on the US side of the equation. I mean, Europe at least has accrued some form of physical to back their currency. I'm not saying it backed, but they have some form of physical. Europeans, because of war conditions, Second World War conditions, they're much more acclimatized to gold. But as you know, I wonder how many people in your sphere, everyone is loaded with physical gold and silver, but outside of that sphere, I mean, what does the average American person own in gold? Do they even know what it is other than a ring?
Less than 1%. I would say that, my friends here, the people that I socialize with, play tennis with, whatever, we don't even talk about this stuff. I wouldn't even want to spring it on them because they think I'm, a space alien coming to deliver conspiracy theories. They have no idea. No idea. They don't, less than 1% of the U.S. citizens own physical metal. If you ask, sometimes if you ask guys, hey, do you own any gold? Yeah, I got GLD, and then it's just like, I don't even bother discussing it.
Yeah.
You really don't have gold.
Then you really get into trouble, don't you, Dave, when you tell them they don't have anything.
If you manage to sell GLD before it blows up, what's going to end up in your stock account? More fiat dollars. You don't own gold.
Well, I think that the one thing that kind of strikes me all the time is that because, as I say, I'm looking at the average American now, and of course it goes globally, but when there is a gold price revaluation, which is coming, it has to come, right? So the lopsided balance now is all the physical is with basically 80-20 rule. It's all with Russia, China, and their friends. Okay, so what happens when gold is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000, whatever, just a much higher price? The average Indian farmer cycling down a dusty road is incredibly wealthy versus the average American. And you suddenly think this is like a polar shift. And it's like, wake up. That's what I say to people. Wake up. You need to own some physical, but make sure it's physical. But it's amazing to me how can people get it that wrong?
It's, what I mean, I can speak to what goes on or what has gone on in the United States. I mean, clearly, as you pointed out, as a result of World War II and even World War I, in Europe, the citizens are a little more attuned to what's going on. But for the most part, they're probably brain dead. Also, they've been brainwashed. But ever since essentially Nixon, tore up the Bretton Woods Agreement, there has not been any effort at all in this country to educate people about the difference between gold, real money, and fiat currency. So people think that the dollars that they hold in their pocket, they think that's money. It's not. It's a debt instrument, right? It's a debt instrument, and the counterparty to that debt instrument is the U.S. government. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the University of Chicago Business School from '89 to '91, and I'm taking these finance courses from guys who were part of the group of PhDs who invented modern finance. We never talked about gold. It was never mentioned. So, the bulk of the people in this country just never bothered to educate themselves. I think they just assumed, there's a sense of entitlement here. Yeah, as long as I got dollars in my pocket, walking around money and dollars in the bank account, I've got wealth. Well, no, you don't. And you point out, what's going to happen, when gold goes to $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 an ounce. Well, you're talking about measuring the price of gold in terms of the number of dollars that it takes. Yeah. Well, the counterpart to that dynamic is that the dollar has become less and less, or more and more worthless. And essentially what it's going to do is, if you basically said, that the U.S. scheme where you got a strong dollar policy, and you issue debt, and that basically pays for your current account deficit, your trade deficit. It's essentially been a way to pull, transfer wealth from the rest of the world into the United States. Well, now what's going to happen is, as the price of gold goes up, and as the scheme, I don't want to call it a scheme, but the system that kind of Russia with China in the background have set up, that wealth that's been transferred into the United States is going to get sucked right back out, right? And even if you're a millionaire, if the standard of measuring the value of your currency is gold or energy, your dollars aren't worth very much anymore. And it's going, like I said, it's going to make living conditions for people in this country extremely difficult. Certainly, it's going to create living conditions that no one in this country has been used to since since the Depression, right? And it's going to as you point out with the Indian farmer example, it's going to create a class of wealth in the Eastern Hemisphere that that population hasn't known for a long time, or has never known. So, and that's what I see happening.
Yeah, no, that's it. You're bang on, and I think it's I remember we had an interview with Daniela DiMartino Booth, and ex-Fed insider, right? And you know her, and she said the Fed, and all the time she was there, the Fed had never even mentioned the word gold once, not one single time. It's just not on their radar. They just don't get it at all.
They take it for granted.
That's where it stems from.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you before we wind up, that you miners. Now you have a miners journal, and it's the mining stock journal that you have. This has to be a big focus for you, surely, now that the gold price is starting to move.
Yeah. Well, my newsletter focuses on